In today's video, we're going to be discussing my team selection ahead of FPL Game Week 16. I've already used one of my 5 free transfers, so we're going to be discussing who that player is and, of course, debating who is the best captain for this game week. Now, before we dive into today's video, of course, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on our channel, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe as we're trying to hit 25,000 subscribers before the end of the season, and it is only possible with your amazing support. And recently, the support has been absolutely fantastic on the channel, so thank you very much. We hit 22k the other day. That was pretty much a goal I had for the end of the year, so thank you very much, like I said, for your continued support, whether you've been here a long time or, of course, a new subscriber. Honestly, your support is massively appreciated. As you can see on screen, we managed to get ourselves a green arrow in game week 15, around a 60k green arrow, so not too bad. Brian Mbeumo and Bruno Fernandes really pulling us out of the bag against Wolves in that one, so great from them. Obviously, I did get one benching decision wrong. I benched Michael Keane this week. Probably should have played him, but David Moyes said he wasn't, like 100% going to play. So I just benched him. He managed to get a 9-pointer. That would have probably broke us back into the top 200k as well. But I feel like the team is in a pretty decent place. You can never complain when you get a green arrow. Hopefully, we can kick on and start to move ourselves towards that top 100k. That is where we want to be, obviously, over the next few weeks. We've got a triple captaincy that might help us get there as well. Hopefully, some smart moves over the next few weeks as well can really get us into a decent position. Let's obviously then first take a look at the defense for my sideline into this game week. We're just going to go straight into today's video. This is obviously how my defense is lining up so far. So we've got obviously David Raya, great fixture for them. We've got Anderson with a pretty decent fixture against Burnley. Richards could be the one that maybe comes out. As you can see, we've got Joe Rodon and we also have Michael Keane as well. Either of those two could very easily realistically play. Honestly, it could just come down to vibes. The only reason that I've selected Richards is just the effective ownership of that Palace defense as a whole. Obviously, Gahey, Munoz, these guys are doing absolute bits to my rank every single week. So maybe just covering it off this week with a Richards might not be the worst idea. However, some of the obviously tools like Fantasy Football Hub's predicted kind of team tool is suggesting that I do play Rodon ahead of Richards as well, so maybe he could be potentially one we do look at. Chow's going to be in there for Sunderland. He is a player that I have thought about potentially taking out over the next few weeks. I've looked at Nathan Collins. There's some great fixtures coming up for Brentford. And interestingly, Rob T did a fantastic post looking at the next 6 to 7 projected clean sheet numbers for the next few weeks. Brentford was sat third on that list. He's been very unfortunate as well not to have come away with an attacking return so far. The reason I didn't want to go for that move or pull the trigger is purely down to the fact that he is currently sat on 4 yellow cards. So one more and he probably would miss an absolutely delightful fixture. The next few games are a little bit difficult for Newcastle. However, they are still one of the best sides for expected goals it conceded in the league. So hopefully Chow can potentially get himself back on some points, because in recent weeks it has been a little bit disappointing since his mega haul. Obviously, talking about Rob T, we do have the data for this game week as well. As you can see, I've pretty much lined up as I was going to. Palace, where are they at? 17%. Maybe we go for Rodon with 21. It's very, very tight. Obviously, Leeds don't have a great record in London. That is why I've currently selected Crystal Palace. I also fancy Crystal Palace in that game. It would not shock me or surprise me to see them in there, or maybe getting a decent result against Manchester City. We also can see Fulham with a 36% chance. So Anderson looks like a pretty decent bet for a clean sheet this week. And if you are in the market for a cheap defender, he would be one of my go-to picks at 4.5 million. Arsenal, if you've got that double up in terms of Arsenal defense or have brought that in, very good projections for those for them this week. What is that, like a 22% over Chelsea? It's a lot. Like, there's a big difference between second and first for a clean sheet. Interestingly as well, Chelsea have been very, very good at clean sheets this year and have been very good at picking up points. I've been eyeing up Trevor Chalobah as well. I can't afford him this week. However, he might be a player longer term that, of course, I do look to go for, because Chelsea just continually get clean sheets. Trevor Chalobah is one of the best scoring defenders within the game. His minutes seem very good, can hit defensive contributions as well. So does feel like a pretty decent fixture as well. So yeah, from a defensive perspective, I feel like we have got, some of the best teams. We are, of course, missing a Chelsea defender, but we've got Fulham, we've got Arsenal. I feel we're in a pretty decent stead there as well. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the defense. It's kind of a last minute decision. Do we play Rodon or do we play Richards this week is kind of the debate that I'm running through in my head. Obviously, when we get closer to the deadline, we'll take a look at the Rob T data again, see which team probably has the best projected data, and that will be my final decision on who I play in my defense. Okay, let's dive into my midfield then. And honestly, I think the midfield, if Declan Rice is fit and available, is absolutely cooking this game week. Obviously, we're going to keep the Manchester United pairing for one more game week. It does look like Brian Mbeumo is going to be available for that Bournemouth one as well. They're in really poor form at the moment. 6 without a win for Bournemouth. Manchester United, interestingly as well, second for expected goals across the league. They know how to create opportunities, and Bruno and Mbeumo were looking very, very good against Wolves. Now, was that a case of just Wolves are that bad, or maybe United have turned a corner? But honestly, owning those pair, it's been a little bit frustrating in recent weeks, but that Monday night game definitely helped pay off for that one. Obviously, I did cover it in my transfer targets video earlier in the week. I said I had to make an early move to, of course, be, avoid a price out. We took out Enzo Fernandez. We brought in Declan Rice. And you might be asking yourself, why have you brought in Declan Rice? For me personally, he is just one of those players that is just kind of a steady Eddie and has multiple routes to points. Looking across, obviously, where he's got his points from this season, it is coming from all over the place. That be goals, that be assists, that be defensive contributions, that be bonus. He is currently the leading player as well in the game for baseline bonus. So if he does get himself an attacking return, not even an attacking return sometimes, his bonus will just help him tick along. Prime example, the game at the last weekend, came away with 6 points, hit defensive contributions, and came away with 2 bonus points. That is what Declan Rice is doing this season. He's just picking up points from multiple different avenues. Before, of course, Bruno Fernandez's mega 18 hauler, he was the top scoring midfielder in the game. He just, for me, feels like a player that is just going to be a very steady Eddie. However, there is some doubts around his overall fitness heading into game week 16. Unfortunately, I didn't know that before making the move early as well to be avoided, priced out. But it is only illness, so I'm hoping he's not travelling to Belgium. He can just rest up, get himself better, and get himself fit and available for that Wolves game. Because honestly, Wolves, like I said, are the worst team in the league by a country mile. The most goals conceded. And interestingly as well, when we talk about captaincy, I have got a right little stat, a right little nugget of gold that really probably will help you potentially maybe look at going for SAKA or potentially another Arsenal player over, of course, going Erling Haaland this week. So, let's dive straight into captaincy. Let's just go for it. Obviously, you saw with my team, I had Thingy on the armband for this week. I did have SAKA with the armband. Looking at Solio and FPL Review, you can see both of their predicted points models as well do have Bukayo Saka as the best scoring player by a country mile as well. It's not even close on either model. Both of them, of course, have Bukayo Saka as first. Interestingly, Bruno Fernandes as second. Haaland fourth on review. And interestingly, third on Solio as well. So Haaland not looking like the most appealing captaincy option this week. So I definitely do feel, there is room here to potentially go against Haaland yet again this game week. So Bukayo Saka, like I said, is probably the leading candidate, given how poor Wolves have been. The most goals conceded. If you watch the United game, it is just so encouraging. And interestingly as well, across all the games that Wolves have played so far this season, there has only been 2 games where a player from the opposition team has failed to hit a double-digit haul. That was against Spurs and that was against Newcastle. Spurs, it was Walter Marder came away with 9 rather than 10, and João Palhinha in the Spurs Wolves game, which was 1-1, also came away with a 9-pointer. So the lowest, biggest score, if you like, that someone has scored against Wolves this season is 9 points. People are scoring exceptionally well against them. Now, the other problem that we're probably going to have with Bukayo Saka is maybe minutes. That is the other concern that is running through my head. And as you can see with the review tool as well, the X minutes is actually the lowest out of all of the players that have been selected on that list. But still, for me, it does feel like a great week to go against Erling Haaland. I'm looking at Saka with the armband for this week. For me, it does just feel like a great opportunity playing against Wolves. Obviously, the stat that I just read then, and when I found that stat, I was like, yep, that for me just seals it in my mind that you've got to be targeting Wolves, got to be going with the captaincy as well. All the predicted models, as you can see here, Solio and Review as well, are also suggesting to go against Erling Haaland this week. And I imagine a lot of people within the FPL community, especially those on the more analytical route, will also probably be looking at Bukayo Saka for captaincy this game week. And if you haven't already, I think this is, again, a prime example of probably why you should look to go and get Bruno Fernandes as well. As you can see, very high on the projected models. Of course, us that have owned Bruno Fernandes for large parts of the year have been knowing that this big double-digit haul is going to come at some point. We just didn't know when, and it probably has been due for a very, very long time. But yeah, he is honestly just an absolutely cracking player. Someone that has also entered my thoughts as a potential Mbeumo replacement in the next few weeks is actually going to be Dominic Szoboszlai. Now, I've previously been not a hot kind of guy for Dominic Szoboszlai. I just thought, the numbers aren't great. He's playing right back. He can hit defensive contributions. Great. But why am I paying the money that I am for him? Well, he's now got a string to his bow that definitely makes him appealing for me. If you've watched this channel for a long time, you know that I absolutely love and adore penalty takers within the game. It is something that I always look to go for. It is just one of those broken metrics, especially for sides that do win a lot of penalties. And over the past few seasons, Liverpool have been very consistent at winning penalties. The second best side in the Premier League for winning penalties, joint with Brentford since their promotion in the 21-22 season. So this is a side that know how to win penalties very consistently. I'm looking at game week 18 and I'm looking at game week 19. Those are some very, very scrumptious fixtures, both at home, both absolutely cracking. And I imagine we'll have some absolutely fantastic projected goal numbers as well. I've also started to see models update to include Dominic Szoboszlai on them because, of course, he now has penalty share, which means his expected goal values go up each game. Now, we still don't know if he's confirmed 100% on penalties because when he took the penalty last night, Alexander Isak wasn't on the pitch, and obviously he was Newcastle's main penalty taker last season. So we are going to have to still wait and see what happens when both of them on the pitch. Is it going to be Szoboszlai or is it going to be Isak? Now, what might happen, though, is because Dominic Szoboszlai scored last night, he now might become just the first choice penalty taker within the side. It looks like Mo Salah's probably never going to play for Liverpool again, so that door is open. Szoboszlai's took one, scored it. Why would you maybe change that if you are on his slot as well? Isak as well, the good thing about him is his minutes are all over the shop at the moment, so that probably, again, like I said, does increase the probability of Dominic Szoboszlai taking the next Liverpool penalty that they do win. It is a metric that I absolutely love to kind of abuse, and now Dominic Szoboszlai for me is opening up even more avenues for points. You can hit defensive contributions, got open play, threat as well when he is playing as the number 10 on penalties, take some free kicks and corners as well. Again, it's one of these players, very similar to Declan Rice. The more kind of strings you add to their bow, the better they do become at just being a general great point scoring player. And that is what Dominic Szoboszlai is really starting to do. Obviously, with my team, we brought in Phil Foden as well last week. Very happy with that move. I mean, we've probably gained like 0.4 million in team value just off Phil Foden alone. I know the fixture's a little bit more difficult this week, but he honestly does seem like one of the most informed players in the Premier League right now, and definitely a player, if you haven't already with your 5 free transfers, I would be considering. Just make sure he gets through the game tonight against Real Madrid before, of course, picking him up for your side. Okay, let's complete the lineup then. We've got Thiago and we've got Haaland. Thiago, again, we brought in last week for Mateta. If you haven't already made that switch, I would highly recommend that being the switch you want to go for. Thiago has got Leeds and Wolves next week. So again, maybe Thiago could also be a player that we do look to go for in terms of captaincy as well. I've spoken in length about Thiago, Brentford, penalties. Look, just go and watch any video on the channel. You know why I'm a big fan of this man and why I do believe that Brentford will continue to keep winning penalties as well. Obviously, I kind of alluded to it there when I'm speaking about Liverpool's penalties. Since their promotion in the 21-22 season, Brentford have won the second most penalties within the Premier League, joint with Liverpool, only behind Manchester City since their promotion. They are a side that knows how to consistently keep winning them as well. Thiago is their penalty taker, also has pretty decent open play threat. So if you haven't already, I would highly recommend going and bringing him. Obviously, the other forward that we do have is going to be Erling Haaland. I'm pretty just set with that one, to be honest. Like I said, though, there is room this week for me to potentially go against him, and the captaincy for me currently is sat on Bukayo Saka. It's all dependent on what sort of minutes we are expecting from Saka, but honestly, I feel like the team is pretty strong for this week, especially if Declan Rice is fit and available. I feel very, very confident about our opportunities. It is just that probably that final defender slot. Do we play Rodon? Do we play Keane? Do we play Richards? That will probably be the final big decision we have to make on the deadline. Let me know what you think of my team selection. Of course, if you've got any dilemmas with your own team as well, get them in the comments. I'll try to answer as many as I possibly can. But thank you for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in game week 16.